I'm going to try not to spend a whole lot of time discussing this, mainly because Pat hasn't had a chance to play it. But I very much want to touch on the new Doom that came out for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC this past week. Mainly for a couple of reasons. The game was not being looked forward to by, I think, the majority of game players out there. This is partially because, one, the game was in development hell forever. The game got caught up in the Bethesda buyout of id Software. The game's focus had changed a couple times. People left id, etc., and it was one of those games that was starting to look almost like not quite as bad, but a Duke Nukem Forever thing where, what is this going to be and what's it going to turn out like? The other thing is Doom, I think, has always been considered a single-player first-person shooter. Now, granted, when it came out, the online the online play was interesting. It was fun. It was some of the first times you could really do some LAN and stuff like that. It was great. I did it too, and it was awesome. But though that deathmatch style was quickly superseded by id's following releases such as Quake and games like Unreal Tournament. Those games perfected it. I think people started to look at Doom as the go-to shooter for a single-player campaign. What Doom did, unfortunately, with their beta was they focused on the multiplayer, which got panned because it was seen as, by people who play new school shooters, it was seen as too much of an old school arena shooter, and by people who were old school players, they saw it as giving into kind of demands of the modern shooter with weapon loadouts and things like that. It was almost universally hated. So you've got development hell going into this, and you have a bad couple of runs with the multiplayer beta. No one's touched the single-player campaign. The game comes out, every single person I know is like, we're waiting for a sale on this one. I, along with, a good handful of other people, decide, what the fuck, we're going to grab this and give it a go. And, what we got was something I don't think I've seen in a decade or more, and that's a first-person shooter that gives you a single-player campaign of like 10 hours at least. It plays unlike any first-person shooter that I've played in the past 10 years.
So it's old school.
It's fast. There is no run in Doom because you are running at all points in time. The gliding, the strafing, everything in it feels like it did in Doom 1 and Doom 2.
Just smooth and fast.
The game is fast. It's visceral. You don't reload your weapons. It's like Doom. You have an ammo count, and you just fire until you're out of ammo. These little old-school concessions make it feel oddly very fresh. People were concerned about the addition of something called a glory kill, which is an up-close melee finisher attack, basically. What happens is you do enough damage to an enemy, and they'll glow blue. You get close enough to them, they glow orange, and you press a button, and you'll do a quick fatality depending on the angle. What's interesting is how this plays into the game, in that when you do glory kills, you get instant health drops. So in a game that is brutally hard, you have to make these decisions. Are you going to pick off the demons from afar, or are you going to try to move in and risk taking more damage to get the health back that you need? There is no cover in this game. If you stay put for more than 5 seconds, you're going to get swarmed and you're going to get destroyed. It's constant bob and weave. The rhythm to this game is exceptional. On top of that, they do kind of work a story narrative in, which has never been the main focus of Doom. But what's great is it's there for the people who care, and for the people who don't care, it's very tongue-in-cheek. When people are talking to you on comm screens, the Marine will break the comm screen or push it out of the way, and you get to decide whether or not you stick around and listen to the rest of the story, or just play the fucking game, which is get to the exit like it always has been. So it's... By going back to what made the original game great, with a good amount of fan service, every time you see a classic enemy, from a Pinky to a Cacodemon, I mean, if you were ever a Doom fan, it's kind of a joyous thing. I've been enjoying it more than, I mean, most games I've purchased in years, and it is one of those instances where I think companies really need to be careful how they show their games before they're released, because on top of all that, Bethesda said they weren't sending out review copies, and now the game's getting fantastic reviews. But you know what? If your game's main focus is going to be a single player campaign, don't demo your tacked on multiplayer as the main thing. Give people a level demo. Send out review copies of it. They said they weren't sending out review copies because multiplayer and the map maker, which shares levels, were going to be integral to the game. You know what? They're not. They're cool. The campaign mode is integral to the game. Anyone could have played that with a review copy. So they really risked damaging their sales quite a bit. Luckily, word of mouth got around very quickly that it was worth trying out.
I think we also forgot about how not poorly received, but how underwhelming Doom 3 was.
Sure, it was a horror game, not a run and shooter.
Yeah, and I played Doom 3. I remember, I don't know if I bought it or just downloaded it. I think I bought it. Or someone gave me their copy back in, what was that, 2005, whenever it was that it came out.
It's been 13 years, so 2003. It's been 13 years since a Doom game.
All I remember is from Doom 3 is that I not even played half, and I just was done with it because it was such a departure from the previous Doom.
It was slow.
It was slow. There weren't a lot of wide open areas. It was like, oh, you walk through hallways and shoot one or two demons at a time, and you have a flashlight. And it's like, that's not Doom.
No, see, that's the great thing about Doom is like there's all of these battles take place, like all of the main battle segments are in very big arena areas,
20,
lots of jumping,
20 monsters coming at you at once,
and that's what you get.
Like Doom 2, people forget Doom 2 was nuts. You'd walk into these areas, you'd have like 40 monsters coming after you at once.
I remember it was
moving.
Yeah, like suburbs or tenements. One of my two favorite levels in Doom 2. There's one spot where it opens a monster garage and literally like 30 imps pour out. And honestly, it's not that difficult, but it's just fun to sit there with the shotgun and pick them off. And literally, I mean, you're sitting there for like 6 minutes taking them down. I mean, that's what Doom is about. So it's nice to see a return to that form.
Sure. So I'm looking at some of the Metacritic scores. 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100 from Giant Bomb. Wow, is it that perfect, or is
it? The campaign mode is that perfect to the point where the weaknesses of multiplayer are something you forget about because it's not the fucking point of the game.
Doom was never about multiplayer.
No,
you know, like I said, I think I played multiplayer on Doom 1 or 2. I think I played it. And back then, you remember, the original Doom games weren't 3D. It was fake 3D. So it's like you got a shot on someone if you were lined up. It would auto-aim the rockets and try to go at them, but you can dodge them easily. So it wasn't like a multiplayer game, really.
No.
Like, that's not what it was about.
Well, and also the levels still required you to get key cards, and some levels were better for multiplayer than others. Even in its original iteration, while it was fun to mess with, multiplayer was not the focus. It's still not the focus.
So it's the same original Doom health packs and potions for
no
health.
regenerating health.
Thank God.
There's armor, no regenerating health, scarce ammo. That's the other thing. The chainsaw's back in it, but it's limited by fuel. You can
like that.
You can hold up to 3 fuel, and the reason is much like the glory kills give you health. If you're low on ammo, but you've managed to hold on to some chainsaw stuff, the chainsaw will take out most enemies with one attack, but it creates an insane number of ammo drops. So there's a lot of strategy to the speed of the game as well.
All right, well, I'll have to check it out sometime.
No, I mean, you'll absolutely love it.
No, I'm a big Doom fan.